Fred Richani of the Sports Courier Podcast. This week we have a very special guest. I'm going to be talking to Pierre-Carl Ouellet, a.k.a. PCO, formerly one half of the Quebecers and Amazing French Canadians. He is a three-time WWE World Tag Team Champion, a former WCW Hardcore Champion. He had stints in WWE, WCW World Championship Wrestling, ECW, even Total Nonstop Action Impact Wrestling. And for a number of years, he had tried to find success. Yes, he was on the big stage, but he felt like he didn't get the shake he deserved, and it took years and years. And after changing his attitude, changing his diet, changing his mindset, changing everything, including his character, and becoming more or less a guy that's like the son of freaking Frankenstein, PCO these last few years has had an incredible career resurgence, and today he can call himself a Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champion and World Six-Man Tag Team Champion as part of the main event stable Villain Enterprises with Brody King and the villain Marty Scurll. So we're going to be chatting with PCO about his decorated career, overcoming unbelievable odds to now be not a one, but a two-time, a double champion in Ring of Honor at the ripe young age of 51. So sit back, relax, and enjoy my chat with PCO. He's traveled all over the globe and continues to kill it, heading into Ring of Honor's MSG debut. We're talking to Pierre-Carl Ouellet, a.k.a. PCO. Mr. PCO, how's it going?
I'm great, Fred. How are you?
Doing all right, man. I appreciate you joining me on this weekend at the time we're recording this here. And it's funny. The night we're recording this is March 23rd. And back in March 23rd, 2001, 18 years ago, WWE finalized its purchase of WCW, and the wrestling business was kind of never the same. Fast forward 18 years later, you're currently killing it in Ring of Honor. AEW is of course starting up. WWE is kind of ramping up with its global expansion. The indies are popping. We're a couple weeks away from WrestleMania. How does it feel to be a professional wrestler in this time right now?
Probably one of the greatest time ever. I mean, for any wrestlers, actually. It's like the golden age is back again. I don't know. It's like gold all over the place. Everybody's winning. The fans are winning. The promotions are winning. The wrestlers are winning. It's a win-win-win situation all over the place. I mean, it's great. I mean, fans get to see a lot of great talents. Talents get to get paid a little bit better because there's, competition around. And at the end of the day, the fans are the one who are getting the best product. I mean, and they can choose. Now with social media, they can go on YouTube and watch whatever they like. It's not before you used to be imposed to watch a certain show because that was the only show on the air. Now you can choose to go on the air and check out the show that you like the best. And this is great for the fans.
Do you feel like this is kind of like a new age territory days? I mean, of course, you have the major promotions with real money behind them, like AEW, ROH, WWE, and New Japan. But, all Japan is starting to see a bit of a resurgence. Of course, you got Lucha. And as you mentioned, it's so easy to watch all of these. I mean, Honor Club, Ring of Honor, and its streaming service, New Japan World. Do you feel like this day and age is kind of like the old territories, but with more access?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's looking like that, but like a different... with a different, let's say it would be like the same car, but with a different car,
yeah.
The facade is different, the way that things are been projected, they're different.
Of course, fans can watch you and Villain Enterprises every single week on Sinclair broadcast station. So if you have Sinclair in your area, or you can watch it on the Fight TV app. And on April 6th, I know the Villain Enterprises is going to be doing their thing at MSG. Of course, Marty Scurll is challenging for the Ring of Honor World Championship against Jay Lethal and Matt Taven in a ladder match. So that's going to be a physical affair, and I'm sure you and Brody King have something special planned. Can you give us a hint of what you guys got going on in your return to the Garden?
No, I mean, just like as usual, unexpected, it's going to be crazy. But I can't say no more. I can say more because I got to keep a few surprises for people that will be in attendance there and people that will be watching on Honor Club and watching throughout different, platform. it's not a show that you want to miss. You want to watch it live for sure. And it's just our match and Marty's match going to award the whole entrance by itself. So it's going to be award the whole entrances or the whole pay-per-view fee by itself. So everything else is going to be bonus.
Was professional wrestling your first love when it came to sports and fitness?
Well, I always was kind of in love with professional hockey or just ice hockey, you know, like being from Canada. But it was like very, very almost equal, like hockey and wrestling. Because what happened is like I started playing hockey, I was like probably 3 years old. And when I was like 12 years old, when I was getting ready to go for hockey practice in the morning on weekends, I would watch TV, and I'd always like fall into a wrestling show, and I got hooked very, very badly on wrestling. I always liked it, and I remember like when I was finishing my high school, I had to play a part. But first of all, we were a group of 6 guys. We had to decide we were going to play a French act in theater. And the whole show was like a wrestling show. So we were playing like voiceovers. Not me, I was Hulk Hogan. And I was wrestling a guy, and he was Rick Martel. And we had like the guys commentary, analyze. The guy who was making the analyze color commentator. We had like the Mad Dog brunch and things like that. So we had all kinds of parts all over the place, and we finished that course with a note of like 95%. So the teacher was like very surprised of our creativity and the way we did employ the French language throughout the whole act. So it was like already there at a young age, at the age of like 14, 15. So it's been a huge thing in my life. And when I lost the sight of my eye at the age of 12, I knew right then that I wanted to be like the next Hulk Hogan. So it's been there. It's been that burning desire in my heart since teenage.
And when you broke into wrestling, it was still during the era where like they didn't really tell you if it was real or predetermined, or if it was a work or a shoot. You kind of had to find out yourself.
Yeah, I was asking guys during my training, but let's say they put like one of the trainer in a corner, and then they would like shoot us like to the boot in the corner. He would put in the boot up, and he would kick us in the face. And then I was asking, ain't supposed to be like fake or something? And like nobody would want to answer anything. And it took like 3 months before I was able to get in the ring. I was getting body slammed on floors and getting chopped and all kinds of stuff, just to make us quit and to really try to see who was the guy who's gonna last, who really want to make it. It's very different than what it is today. And they were going like by elimination like that. So, I mean, I started in a wrestling school where it was free to learn wrestling, and we're wrestling in front of like between 300 and 500 people every Sunday afternoon, and people used to get it for like $2. But I mean, you had to pay the price. But we were probably, I don't know, between 35 and 50 guys. I remember like we only like 3 or 4 of us made it to the roster on the Sunday afternoon. So it was really tough. Like a lot of guys were quitting after a week or 2.
And yeah, wrestling certainly isn't for everybody. You had to cut your teeth for a few years in the independents way back then. Before breaking into the WWF, then known as the WWF, the World Wrestling Federation, with Jacques Rougeau as the Quebecers. But you were still relatively young then. I mean, you won 3 tag team titles. You got to feud with Bret Hart as well. It was kind of a downtime in the business, but one that showcased a lot of great talent like yourself, like Bret Hart, and a number of others that maybe wouldn't have gotten that opportunity, say, maybe like a decade prior. What was that time period like for you in WWF?
Well, I mean, it was like it was a dream come true. Actually, like I had to, I really busted my ass to get there. I mean, I've been through a lot of things that were really hard. Like I went to the Hart territory in Calgary and left Montreal. I flew there, I couldn't get booked anywhere by just sending a resume or just sending pictures and things like that. I made a few phone calls trying to talk to promoters. My English wasn't that good, and nobody could really understand what I was saying. It was like so green, so I just decided to buy a plane ticket, and I went to Calgary and went to Stu directly on the Friday night during a live show. Just before the show, asked him if I could wrestle for his organization for Calgary Stampede, and he said no. And then boys kind of ribbed me, made me go to Edmonton, which was like 4.5, almost 5 hours, 4 or 5 hours with the bus, a Greyhound bus, and I was driving back and forth, like Friday night Calgary and taking the bus to Edmonton on a Saturday night, trying to get books to see if somebody was going to miss out or just get injured or something like that. So I did that like for 3 to 4 months, and then I was talking to some of the boys that were training sometimes. I found a place where to train with some of the boys that weren't on that roster, and they wanted to bring me to Altumco in Vancouver, and I got so discouraged. So I had, I was missing my family, things like that. I was 18 years old, so I went back and got booked in the Maritimes for Emile Dupre, and I got booked on top right away. I don't know, something was a confusion or something. So I got booked, and I was working the booker, Bob Brown, every night, and Masi Chono. His name was actually Tokyo Chono, and I was working with another Canadian guy that he was. And I mean, I was screwing up so many things. It was like from not being able to get booked somewhere to get booked on top. And we were wrestling for the belts every night in that territory, and I screwed up so many spots, and I was mixing up the language and things like that. It's been so hard. So I got fired after a month. So it was like tough times until I went to England, went to Germany, went to South Africa, finally got booked in Puerto Rico for Carlos Colon, and met with Jock there. And then after 8 years, I got a break in WWE.
Can you just describe what it was like to work with a great technician like Bret Hart?
Well, first of all, he's a great technician. He's a great wrestler, but on top of everything, he's one of the greatest, if not the best. Him and Sean. I think Sean is actually great too, but it's just great storyteller. Because sometimes, he was using like similar moves, but it was just a different order. The way that we were telling his story, the way that we lay out that story, and the way that he was laying out that story. And this is I mean, he was athletic and all that, but most of all, is the psychology of putting a story together was one of his best quality that I could say, on top of many others. But this was like, it was a piece of cake. It was so much fun working with him. I've learned so much with him. It's just, I was like a sponge. I was trying to absorb as much as I could, like every night that I was working with him. I was trying to listen, trying to see, trying to absorb like everything. And this is one of my most enjoyable, favorite, the whole rivalry, the whole time that I got to work with him was like something very special in my life.
How's your relationship these days with Kevin Nash? I know you exited WWE back in the mid-90s upon having some beef with him. You didn't want to lose, from what I understand the story goes, you don't want to lose in Montreal clean, when he was defending the title against you. Maybe you wanted to do like some kind of alternate finish, which led to some conflict. How's things with you guys these days?
It's great, actually. It's been awesome. Like, I've met him in so many buildings lately. 2017, especially, and 2018. I would probably met like 10 times a year. I don't know, and I've worked against him like in 2009 too. I've worked him like a couple of times, and I was in the same dressing room with him, and it's been totally cool. Because I've said it on many other places, like where had the chance to talk about this. You as much responsible as the other group if you give it like if someone hates you and you hate them back, it's double hate, so it makes a lot of tension, But if someone hates you, but you still do your stuff and you don't care about it or whatever, it's like pushing on a wall. If you push on a wall, you feel like the wall is pushing back at you. But if you don't put any pressure on the wall, you feel like there's no pressure that's coming back to you. So that's what I learned through the years, like at one point I was mad against the clique and all that. But in my life at one point, I started looking at myself in the mirror and I realized I was the only one responsible for everything that happened to me. So once that I took the blame out of everyone else and put all the blame on myself, I mean, not the blame, but the responsibility that I totally felt responsible for everything that happened in my life. It's like instead of giving the power to the others, it gives you the power to change things instead of blaming others. And when I did that, it's when I think that my career got it's getting better, and that's why I'm where I'm at today. I think it was a lot of work on myself in order to be able to come back like that.
For sure, that's very well said. And I think too, what some younger fans might not realize is after WWE, you had a short stint with WCW as part of the Amazing French Canadians, also with Jacques, and then you were in WWE actually for a couple of years, during the Attitude Era, but didn't utilize you too much. And it's that era to me, I think was very. I mean, never mind what you were going through as far as personally and just dealing with some of the stuff and everything backstage. Just it was very cutthroat. I mean, wrestling's always kind of been a cutthroat business, but I feel like during that time. It's very different from now. I feel like a lot of people now are friends. They very much root for each other. And back then, it was kind of a different story. Is that the case as you remember it?
Well, I'm sure my perception is totally different now because I've changed too. But, yeah, I felt that back then, and I still feel like that. If you get mixed up in everyone's story, you're going to start to hate other people that you're not traveling with or that you don't get along with. And it's easy to get round up, 4 or 5 guys, traveling together and talking about the other band of guys traveling together because, you feel like they have a push and maybe they don't deserve it or they're not great workers, but for whatever reason you may think, and they would start, pitching things why it shouldn't be like that and territory's not run well, and that's what creates most of the backstage problems, So I think one of the best things if you're traveling with people is not to get mixed up in stories like that. You gotta keep your thoughts for yourself and just not try to get mixed up in things like that because, I mean, it could be like a career ending, made the wrong move at the wrong time, and it takes a while before you get another chance to get a good chance at it. So for me, I mean, took a lot of things, before I was able to maybe being able to recognize those things were part of, the bad route that I might have took, and also different other things, if I look at myself in the mirror, all your life, you want to do something, you want to accomplish something, and when you get there, you feel like, okay, I just arrived. Well, now you got recognition. Everybody recognizes you on the street, wherever you go, restaurant, bars, whatever. You're on TV, you're making money, glory, fame, all that. It changed your mindset a little bit. You feel like you're more important. You feel like you're someone important in life, and you start, I don't know why, but you start to think that you may be better than others, and then things start to go wrong in your life. And then you think it's because of the other guys, it's because of the company, it's because of the wrong push, it's because of the bad angles and things like that. But in your mind, nothing goes really right. So from that point on, I mean, you kind of lose your focus because you're not as disciplined as you're supposed to be. You're not focused as you're supposed to be. Suddenly, you know, you say in your words that you want to be the next champion or you want to need the next big thing in wrestling, but well, you're out at night, you know, chasing girls and being at bars and things like that. So you're not really focused on what you're supposed to do. So, and also you got excuses. You say, well, I'm on the road all the time. You know, I got stress. I got this. I got that. I'm not happy with the storylines. And so you make excuses why you should go out and, you know, take out some of the stress and things like that. So a lot of bad things might, you know, happen. You think it's going to be great because you're going to make it. Well, there's tons of traps out there. So you got to be ready mentally for those traps. If you're not, and you're young like I was, 25, 26, 27, you're making tons of mistakes.
Well, you're certainly somebody that's learned from their mistakes, and I'd say definitely an inspiration for young wrestlers and other wrestlers that, you know, still want to push themselves towards success. Let's fast forward after WCW and WWE. You worked a few matches with TNA Impact Wrestling. You then, if I'm not mistaken, you did for several years voiceovers for them and commentary.
I did probably 5 years, yeah.
Okay, yes, about 5 years in TNA.
Years from 2005 to 2008, 3 years. Yeah, sorry, 3 years.
Okay. So for a few years you worked with TNA, and then from there you decided, you know what the hell, I'm going to dive back into the independent scene, and it took quite a while, but you made some waves, and with the kind of new age that we have with social media and GIFs, and we see this guy PCO from back in the day doing moonsaults and dives and having these crazy matches, and I think the couple of matches you had with Walter is what really woke everybody up to seeing what the hell you've been doing between I believe you did Joey Janela's Spring Break, and then I think you guys also wrestled once in Germany, or at least like at the time when you first started, like a few times in Germany.
Well, actually, what happened, I'm going to try to short everything up, but what happened was, like, I went through a series of failures big time, and a series of, like, I did believe in myself where, I don't know, I was, like, making, like, you know, like 50, probably, yeah, $500 for 1 hour, for 1 hour of work per week, you know, and I quit that job, and the guy, my boss at the TV station, said, "Well, we can't keep your job here. Just have someone to replace it for 3 months. If it doesn't work good, you can fall back on this." And I'm the kind of guy I hates falling back on something. I love to burn bridges, and actually, I did a documentary with Kenny Johnson, a great filmmaker, called "Burn the Ships." So it's not bridges that I love to burn; it's ships. So I burned the ships because I didn't want to have something to fall back on. I trusted myself. I believed in myself. So I went to England on the indie scene, and then I worked with Walter in Germany throughout that tour. Well, it was him and other guys during the 16-carat tournament, WXW in Germany. But I was working full-time in England for Brian Dixon All-Star Wrestling. I had to try out for WWE in Birmingham, England, because Tommy Dreamer, they said, "No, we don't have anything for you." 2003, I had a great tryout in Montreal, tore the house down. They said, "Creative doesn't have anything for you." 2005, supposed to work a guy. That doesn't work out, so got to do like a promo. And then they said, "No, we don't have anything for you." 2008, got another tryout, Morgan Sun Arena, Connecticut. It's supposed to be for Monday and Tuesday, Raw and SmackDown. I get there on a Monday. I come up with some stuff way ahead of my time. The match goes wrong. Everybody's watching me finish Sean. Like I guess everybody wants me to succeed, but I'm having like a bad match. So they said, don't bother coming to SmackDown tomorrow. Just drive the car back to Montreal. So it was a lot of failures, and then 2017, 2018, like when I got the chance to wrestle Walter at WrestleMania weekend, for me it was a big WrestleMania match. And I knew like I had to have like a great match. So, I mean, I didn't want to like being prima donna, I asked for a lot of money, or asked for a flight to get. I knew they were tight, on the budget, so they asked me if I could drive to New Orleans, which I drove to Montreal. It was like 40 hours to get there, 40 hours back for one match. So I really had to believe in myself to go through all this after so many years in the business, and actually it paid off. All those failures, and still believing in myself, and still knowing like I was a great wrestler and I could do great things, and drove in there. It paid off, and then the rest of 2018 really blew up, and 2019 I signed with Ring of Honor.
Yeah, you really blew up on the Indies. You appeared on MLW, which is on beIN Sports, and they're doing very well for themselves too, especially in the Hispanic market. And now you're with Ring of Honor, Villain Enterprises. You guys are looking to take over Madison Square Garden WrestleMania weekend. Man, this is crazy. And fast forward, you're now a Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champion and a Ring of Honor World Six-Man Tag Team Champion with Brody King, Marty Scurll, the Villain, maybe the top star in all of Ring of Honor right now.
And I think Marty's a good chance to become the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Champion at the Madison Square Garden. So, that's what we want. All the belts between Villain Enterprises. Doesn't matter who gets what, as long as we get the TV belt, the world title, and the tag titles, and the six-man tag titles, and all the titles between Villain Enterprises. The biggest, greatest, hottest faction in pro wrestling in 2019. Marty Scurll, Brody King, PCO. You just said it.
Now, on the surface, it seems kind of like a random team. I've watched you guys on Fight TV a little bit, and I'm just like, man, these guys kind of gel naturally. Did you guys kind of know each other before getting joined up?
2008, I met Marty and Nick Aldis while I was touring in England for almost a year, and I never thought that would come back until like later on in my life. I felt like 2008 was a wasted year for me. So that's why I'm telling to all the guys that are trying to get a break in this business sometimes, don't think that you're doing something for nothing. Everything means something. You just don't know which story or what person you met is going to come back and help you out later on. You never know how things are going to play out. So, Marty, everybody was leaving, and Marty needed to start a faction, and my name popped out, and Brody King, I think he had met with him in a wrestling school earlier on, or seminary or something like that. So they got along good, so his name popped out. I had toured the whole year, and I've seen Brody King. I've worked him so many times, or with him, or against him, feud. I knew the chemistry was already there between me and Brody King. I knew Marty since 2008. We got along great that time. And when I knew that they wanted to put the three of us together, I said, hey, man, this chemistry is going to be crazy. It's already there, so it can only get better. So that's how it's been. It's been great.
And you've been great, but I know some people, including some of your colleagues, I think maybe Jim Ross recently said something on Twitter like, hey, man, take it easy. You've been doing all these dives. You have your trademark moonsault. This is some amazing stuff, but obviously it can be really hard on the body as well. How are you feeling, and what allows you to continue to take these amazing risks and just come back every night, besides being Frankenstein's son, of course?
Hey, man, it's just because I love it. Like I told Jim, I'm so passionate about this business, so passionate about what I do, that I don't feel the pain. And I'm okay the next day. It's just one of those things where, it's just me. It's just it feels great, doing those things. It's hard to explain. It's really hard to explain, but
you're 51 years young, man.
yeah, man. I like that. First time I hear something like that, it's great. It's awesome. I like the way you said it. Yeah, that's what it is. And like you said, I'm crushing a big moonsault. I'm doing crazy things that honestly, I'm not trying to, say things that just to increase or to, increase the value to who I am right now. But I'm having my best year ever. I mean, I feel like my explosion is at a point where it's never been like that when I take off or I hit the ropes. Or I feel like my speed, my explosion, everything that I do, it's at the best. It's better than ever been. Even better than it was 2018 and 2017, and even better than it was in 95 and 93. I mean, I feel right now that I'm the best wrestler that ever could be or ever was, and it's for some people it's hard to understand, and I totally understand that, but it's really what it is. But I'm, like I was saying about talking about discipline, it's like every day early I'm up. If I'm not on the road, I'm in the gym for my first workout. I go for a second workout. I'm doing like I go to trampoline park. I do a bunch of things just to have me quick and alert. Work on my psychology side. I mean, as a person trying to understand life, trying to understand patterns, trying to understand what I have to do in order to get better and really work at it, really work hard at it, and work out in the field that I want to succeed and excel, which is pro wrestling. So I'm really I'm not going out at all. I'm totally focused. All my time I spend is watching tapes or watching things or learning on my opponents and things like that. So it's totally, everything is focused around pro wrestling. My whole life is focused on my goal, and which is, to be like dominant force in pro wrestling and a story that people will talk about for a long time, and maybe making movies on my story and things like that. It's going to get bigger and bigger. I can promise you that.
I look at some of your videos that you've done on social media, and they are absolutely fantastic. And yes, you've gotten yourself into tremendous shape and you've gotten better in the ring, but I feel like you've also invested a ton into your character. And, you didn't have any big budgets. You didn't have any major company behind you prior to, Ring of Honor. This is stuff you all did yourself, or I'm sure with a small group of people. What do you think that younger wrestlers can learn from your transformation, not just physically, but character-wise? Because right now you're killing it.
Yeah, it's just it's the passion, It's all how much are you willing to invest into what you like, into what you want to be, into creating something that you feel part of it, like not something creating for creating. It might have to start like that until you find the way, but it's an extension of who I am, and it was hard. I've been searching for a long time. I was trying to find the perfect character for myself. Well, the perfect character for myself was PCO, and PCO was like a Frankenstein, resurrection in 2017, 2018, and he's been a different guy since then, and it works, and also, the crazy bumps and things like that. It's always been part of me. Now got a reason to do them, and like you said, when Jim Ross said, why the big backdrop on top of the apron? Well, everybody said Jim Ross. He said it was not human. So people know it makes sense, and it's an extension of who I am really in life. And I'm the guy willing to do a lot of things in order to succeed. And at that point right now, I put so much discipline into what I do and so much time into what I do. It's like, I don't even want to watch the news on TV, I'd rather watch my opponents or guys that I need to understand their style and just concentrate on what I want to accomplish. That's my thing right now. That's why. And that's why I'm able to be so creative on the videos with Destro, because we're two guys we're so hungry for success that we're willing to do everything. And sometimes you don't know, but we go through a lot of hard times in order to get a video done. Because sometimes we're about short of time before we need to find what we need to find in order to shoot that video. And we're coming out every Monday with something, so it's something where you can say, "Oh, we're going to take a week off" or something like that. Every Monday we're coming out with something, and sometimes there's a lot of problems coming out with some things, but it challenges us to be the best that we can be and be creative, and it shows to videos, it shows to the wrestling, to everything that I do. The passion comes out. It's what people feel.
Ring of Honor World title on the line, Valen Enterprises. It is the G1 Supercard, Ring of Honor, New Japan Pro Wrestling, the IWGP Heavyweight title, Jay White, the champion. That title's going to be on the line Saturday, April 6th, the night before WrestleMania, Madison Square Garden in New York City. If you can't make it there, you can order it online at ROHHonorClub.com and on traditional pay-per-view.
Well, I want everybody to come and join me and follow me on my Twitter account at PCO is not human. Every Monday night, we're coming out with a different video, me and Destro. We're going to be performing live on the Poopel Spit with Coleman, Caprice Coleman, the host of the show, the Friday the 5th. So that's going to be crazy.
And I'm sorry, Destro is your, what's his official title? So fans have seen the videos that they might know of him. For those that don't, who is Destro?
He's my creator. He's also like the guy who, my personal trainer, if you want, but it's mostly the creator. So he's the one who asked me when I met with him, if I was willing to pay the price in order to get what I wanted. Promised me that it was going to bring me to the land as long as I was willing to pay the price. So that's what's going on right now. So I'm just paying the price every week, every match is every time that I step into the ring, step into the gym, whatever he wants me to do, I'm willing to do because I want to succeed. So everything in order to succeed, I'm willing to do. So that's why it's been pretty crazy.
Well, you're certainly going to be busy WrestleMania weekend. We appreciate the time. Follow him on Twitter at PCO is not human. He is, in fact, not human, but he is a fantastic wrestler to watch. PCO, thank you so much for the time, man. Much appreciated.
Thank you, Fred. Thanks to all your fans, to all the listeners, and all the best. See you soon. Thanks a lot.